fun things you can do about this. I rebuilt the hands a while back in anticipation of doing some dummy stick and knife work, and so these hands, unlike the original ones, which were just basically padded mallets, can actually hold on to some things. Not very well, but not too bad either. So, you know, as for an example, some of the stuff you could do with the bully that you would be difficult to do with another person. Once you get your range, he's in stabbing range. You can work on really energetic counters, or you can just work on realistic unarmed stuff, because chances are you won't have a knife in your hand if you're facing someone. The cool thing about him, he's always got the other hand. This can be roped up to move a little bit so that you have to track it with your eyes. So anytime you're moving around, you always have to take into account both hands, which is something you have to do when you're sparring, but a heavy bag doesn't do that for you. And since he moves, he changes shoulder positions. If you unlock the casters, he'll start to move around as you move. He'll actually rotate to follow you a little bit, depending on how hard you're pulling on the control cables. But it gives you a chance also to, in a pretty general environment, pressure test some of the stuff you might be working on, especially in terms of like knife defense or whatever. You see lots of movements that work when doing drills that don't ever work when you're actually doing knife sparring or real-time knife defense. Very little actually that you learn in class seems to work in a hotter environment, and this lets you kind of break it down. Well, why doesn't it? And most of it has to do with the follow-through and the intent of the attacker, I think. Anyway, I'm no expert in the martial arts. I'm a heavy-duty dabbler, been exposed to a couple different styles, and working out on this guy has taught me some interesting things about the stuff that I had learned. In any event, just for a quick demo, he's in stabbing range. I want to move, obviously, to the outside, just like any relatively short stem prison shanking type thing. He isn't coming at me like a fencer. He's coming at me, wants to stick me. This hand here is going to be reaching for me in the real world. So in training, I just want to avoid it. And the easiest way to get out, you use this hand, you expose it. A strong attacker can come through, rake with the tip. A strong attacker can shove your hand off and invert the blade, come back out on the same line as your arm. So it's important, if you do anything to the where you're reaching across, you've got to get clear. So one of the things that I've come up with is just simply keep your arms in tight. The minute you see that there's a knife, keep your arms in tight. You want to avoid being stabbed, obviously, but one of the neat things you can do, and we did work on this in my collie class, was stop hits to the opponent's arm. And working on this guy really illustrates the principle pretty accurately. His head is not close. Now, in a combat stance, his head might be closer, but I can't afford to take a chance. If I get the knife redirected, the bicep is much closer than the jaw, and it's not defended by the other arm. So stop hits are one of the better ways to deal with this sort of thing if you're forced to. And if you try doing that with an opponent who isn't holding focus mitt or something, you'll destroy their bicep. You can't do these drills that many times. So it's pretty cool. He's the type of thing you can do these drills over and over and over again. He doesn't get tired. Your hands will get sore long before he gives up. But it does reinforce pretty good habits. If you use it solo, it actually, the angles that you have to apply to make him operate also serve to reinforce diagonal and lateral footwork rather than just going forward or backwards. If you use it with more of a punch, and it takes a little bit of finessing with the hardware in the back. Lost track of what I was going to say. You can actually do things like bob, weave, because all you have to do is tug this and he responds. So just dropping your hips is enough to make him act. And obviously, if you had someone in the back, It takes very little energy to rotate this. I'm doing it with my hips with a very modest amount of energy. So a teenager, a tween almost, could operate this thing and give you a pretty good workout. Well, that's about it. First installment. Hope you got a kick out of it.